Most action anime build their fanbase on unique and intense power systems. Both the good guys, aka the protagonist and their team, and the enemies have to be capable of fighting prolonged battles, forever increasing their skills, and have a great showdown at the end of an arc. However, not only shonen power fantasies have characters possessing interesting powers. Here, I gathered 10 anime that have protagonists wielding rare and overpowered abilities, at least in their respective worlds. Note that to compose this list I had to include spoilers for most series, so watch it with caution. Airing in the spring season of 2021, 86 came in with a fine concept, somewhat aiming to be a second Code Geass. Set in a world with massive discrimination against certain races, mecha warfare, and staggering animation, 86 promised to be a perfect show. The first season hasn't yet answered many questions, but the action made the fans shiver in hope for a great sequel. The protagonist, Shin, is not only a great pilot for the juggernauts of San Magnolia, but also has supernatural abilities. He is able to hear the voices of his family members from an unthinkable distance, a power that was used to create the para-raid devices. He is also the best processor to be known, and is sometimes called the Reaper by his peers. Satama is the most powerful being in his respective universe. This is certainly not a surprise for anyone reading this, as he was many times even called one of the strongest characters of all anime. He is a hero, part of the Hero Association, but actually just a bald guy. Underestimated by many, Satama achieved his perfect physique and unbeatable state through mere physical training. This is at least what he says, but the real origin of his power is unknown. He can still be beaten in other fields that don't require strength, such as eating contests, gambling, and video games. Tokyo Ghoul is not an anime world you would want to live in. The humanoid beasts of ghouls wander the streets of Japan, and they seek food by hunting humans. They can't eat regular food, and they also developed a ghoul society, which favors hierarchy based on strength. Kaneki Ken turns into a ghoul as some of his organs were replaced by the ones of a ghoul. He didn't just become a regular ghoul, but in fact one of the strongest upon inheriting the powers of his predecessor, the one-eyed ghoul. He soon had to experience getting hunted by many of the higher-ups of the Ghoul Society, and after plenty of suffering, he was able to awaken the immense power of his ghoul self. He had no issue destroying his enemies afterward, but had to deal with the emotional conflicts. Black Clover is usually regarded as a pretty weak shonen. It is said that the anime just straight copied every element from other media of the genre, but as time passed, the series managed to earn respect. Black Clover built up slowly, but right now it features some of the best villains, as well as an ever-expanding universe. Asta is a young boy who loves screaming for some reason. He assumed the role of the protagonist, not only because he strives to be the best, trying to become the Wizard King, but also as he controls the power of a devil in himself. Not even knowing about the nature of his power for a long time, he actually owns the greatest force in the world, anti-magic. He can counter any kind of magical attack with his swords, and teaming up with his devil, he went on a mission to defeat the underworld creatures threatening humanity. If you are an isekai fan, there is a slight chance that you've heard about Tate no Yusha no Narayagari already. No, not a slight chance, but I'm pretty sure you have already seen it. Despite being relatively new to the scene, this show got immense attention due to being just like every other isekai ever since Sao, meaning the main guy got trapped in a video game. This doesn't mean it's bad, as Shield Hero is actually pretty fun to watch. There is plenty of action in the series, and it all comes down to the protagonist, Naofumi. He is witty, and despite starting off with a weak set, he quickly climbed the ladders and managed to put his hands on the devastating power of Rage Shield, the Wrath series after losing everything to the royalty of the kingdom. Mob Psycho 100 was an interesting new release of 2016. The show not only had outstanding animation, but the whole concept managed to collect fans for the franchise. The story was captivating, and despite the short runtime, the series still remained a memorable piece. The protagonist, Shigeo Kageyama, or simply Mob, was a pretty weak dude before joining the Body Improvement Club. He was a pushover for most of his life, and even though his physical abilities didn't grow that much, his psychic power overwhelmed anyone facing him. His telekinesis made him able to control giant objects and even living things, moving them around with ease only using his mind. His final state allows him to go into an unrivaled rage mode. Mappa pumped out a large amount of anime, and surprisingly, they were pretty good. Even though they were working on multiple great series at the same time, almost all of them turned out impeccable, including Jujutsu Kaisen. In a world where sorcerers fight curses, Yuji Itadori finds himself caught up in a fight between the two sides at his school. He, not knowing what might happen after his actions, eats the finger of the legendary king of curses, Sukuna Ryomen. His spirit manifests in Yuji, and despite trying to take over his body, Yuji remains composed for most of the time. With this beast inside him, he is a hard one to kill, and even got revived by the grace of Sukuna once. Praised as one of the best new releases of the spring 2021 season, To Your Eternity certainly started out as a unique work. The first episode excelled and introduced an amazing concept of an immortal being wandering the earth to find information and emotions. The actual name of this entity is not known, or if he even has one. He was created by the Beholder, who also serves as the narrator for the story. The being, later named Fushi, went on to explore the world by transforming into the forms of things he got in contact with. This power came in handy to get out of sketchy situations. As he was also immortal, he got chased down by the government many times. Of course, My Hero can't be left out when talking about anime with superpowers in it. It's such a prime example of classical superhero fantasies that the series quickly gained the fame of one of the most popular new-gen anime. This is mostly due to the lovable characters, the understandable and glorious power system, and the overall recency of the adaptation. The protagonist, Izuku Midoriya, also known as Deku, started off quirkless in a world where everyone has a superpower. He later inherited the power of One for All, which was the quirk of the greatest hero, All Might. It turned out that the quirk wasn't just an already overpowered strength buff, but that it contains 7 other different quirks as well. This would easily make Deku the strongest hero, of course, if he can make good use of them. This anime with an unfairly long title, which in its full glory is called The Misfit of Demon King Academy, presents the exact same story the title indicates. Annos Voldegood, the most overpowered protagonist, reincarnates to check on the world he purposefully left 2,000 years ago. He is unbeatable by any foes and constantly tells others that he is in fact the one and only demon lord, but nobody believes him despite his insane magical power. Annos can delete entire land masses, demobilize enemies in a blink of an eye, and he can also manipulate time and space for his enjoyment. Very based.
俺が魔王アノス・ボルディゴードだ。
I hope you were able to find something interesting amongst these series. As great powers come with great popularity, almost all of these shows had to be from the shonen and action genres, but we were fortunate enough to include some other fantastic types of anime. What do you think of this list? Are there anime characters that you think are not included on this list? Comment it down below. If you liked the video, please like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more anime content like this. Keep safe and I'll see you in the next video.